those agreements that you are walking with your partners, do you have like you were saying the definition of love within it, and are you writing those things out on a paper, or how do you share that with each other, or how do you come from being in love to that agreement?
Before I got into this current relationship that I'm in, I thought this getting into an agreement was making a list. This is what we're going to do. This is what we agreed to, like a contract. That was my idea of it. But when Brett and I started the relationship that we're in now, it was more like we sat down and we said, okay, this is what I'm okay with. This is what I'm not. This is what I need from, if I'm in a relationship, this is what I'm going to need to be stable so that I can focus on other things. Because when you're in a relationship and you get with another person, if they're doing things that distract you from what's important, it keeps you from your process. So you want somebody that's going to support you along the way and not do things that are going to distract you or that you know are going to create anxiety within you, I mean, not unnecessarily so. Basically, it's just a basic agreement. Like with us, it's, our thing from the get-go was no drugs. That's a really, simple point of we're just in agreement with it. Yeah. We both agree on it and we're cool. We have occasional points that come up that take us some time to work out, and we'll come to an agreement on it, an understanding. From that point of agreement, we just do it.
Yeah, exactly. And let's say, if to the beginning again, then when you sat with Brett, where you were not okay about, is it like each are sharing 5 points of thing? How does that look?
Like for me, prior to being with him, I mean, I was single for a while. I had a lot of male friends that I talked to. I wasn't necessarily in relationships with them, but I mean, for me, I was opening up potentials along the way of this might be something. I was opening things up for myself. Part of his was, it's not comfortable for me for you to be talking with these other guys. Even to me, it was just like a friendship. So I had to take a look at it and be like, is it really going to compromise me to not continue communicating with these people? No, not really. It's not going to really affect my life in any way. So no. I have no problem. That's how we kind of work things out, is we'll bring it up to each other like, okay, I'm having issues with this. And then we'll actually discuss it and open it up and look at the emotions behind it, look at past experiences, question it, and then, we'll make a decision to change what we're doing or not.
Kristina, how did you came about to have an agreement? How does yours look like?
Obviously, Andrew and I were coming from the same kind of starting point, so it was already pretty clear for us who the other was in terms of the principles that we were living. Initially for us, it was really communication, because that's all we had. So we had Skype communication, and it was just daily chatting, communicating. And as things come up, you just discuss it and see where the other person is. We also created a word web for ourselves at the very beginning that we actually just recently pulled out again, as kind of just a point that we wanted to live in the agreement for ourselves. But now what we're doing is we just take a word, we discuss it and how we can relate to it in our own lives, where we see we're not living it, where we can live it, and we give examples. So it's completely built around communication. Yeah. You don't need someone to speak the same language, the Destiny language. You don't need that to communicate. You can push communication with anyone, simply asking questions. And so you can really see through communication who the person is and who you are, and you kind of maneuver each other in terms of where do we want to go? What do we want to create? Where are you with this? Where are you with this? Where are you with this?
Yeah.
You know, I remember in the beginning, you know, we had only been chatting for a month, but we, you know, we're like, where do you stand on marriage? Where do you stand on kids? We knew that we were creating something long term. That's what we were looking for, someone to walk this life with. And so it's like, you lay it all out right away. You can very effectively, through communication, find out where people are in relation to certain things and see where that's aligned to you. And some things can be tweaked and some things can't be, and that's just honesty for some people. You know, communication has been the foundation, and you know, he's been a really good example for self-communication. He writes a lot, and I always had a resistance to writing throughout my process. So he's the way he lives communication with himself has been a really good example for me. So we do a lot of, you know, our own self-reflections on points. If we're not clear, you know, say we try to communicate about something, whether it's an issue in the agreement or outside, if we're not able to flow in the conversation, we know, okay, I got to sort this out still with myself. And so then we get to the writing. Sometimes it's just as easy as just a quick chat, you know, just bringing it up and discussing it. And
with regards to relationship, is that I saw myself, I just now saw it like half a year ago, that I don't take the time to get to know someone. So I have had 5 long-term relationships. All the time I went for it and didn't take time to get to know the person. That I see as a huge correction, that I beforehand have to look who the person is, and that what I see with this relationship, where the timeout is now going on, that I can now see, I take myself a year to see if I want this for real for the rest of my life. So it's quite unusual because it's not someone I just get to know, but I still want to correct that within myself and see where I can be able to stand for my principles. So that's how I use the principle of getting to know one within an already existent relationship. Because that cost me obviously a lot of problems. It's just going into a relationship.
I did that initially in my process too, and you know, I moved quickly without getting to know someone. I had known him from my past, but we had reconnected, and some of the points seemed to align. So I was just looking for that love. So I was like, okay, great, let's go. And that blew up in my face. That was brutal because you don't, for me anyway, I never considered the importance of getting to know someone because I never knew or understood the importance of knowing myself. I came from a point of not knowing myself at all. And so my seek in a relationship was to know myself, but through another person. I wanted to know myself. I needed another person to show to me or tell me or validate something within me because I had not established that at all within myself. And so I think that, you're in a great position to really, you know, like Carrie said, for her, it was like you really established that point of knowing who you are and what you want and what you need and who do you want to be with and what do you want to create. You can clearly define that, then I think the decision making in the dating pool becomes easier because you can see clearly through people's words and actions who they are and where they stand and what they live, you know. And I think we have quite the advantage with this development of self-awareness because as we know ourselves better, from the spectrum of the dishonest to the self-honest, we can see that easier in others as well because we've already recognized it within ourselves.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's not nice. Most times not nice, but it's very cool.
Some stuff is definitely not pretty. We got to embrace that too.
Yeah.
That's why we have forgiveness.
And not resist it. Yeah, there's forgiveness and there's making mistakes and, you know, when you make mistakes, not beating yourself up about it, but being, well, this is who I am. I made this mistake. This was the consequences of the mistake. I don't want to do that to another person again, or I don't want to do that to myself again. The more you do something, the more it becomes you, and you slowly become a different person, but not necessarily separate from who you were. It's still there. It's just a point of understanding, a point of being able to support people that are going through the same thing that you did when you embraced it and didn't resist it. When you take that time to really get to know yourself, the good, the bad, the seriously ugly, you will, when you're getting into a new relationship, you will slow it down. You're going to have the words to communicate to the other person what you're really about, who you really are. And that takes time to clarify yourself and to get to an understanding, because, you'll say, well, this is who I am. And they'll ask you, well, why are you that way? And then you'll explain it, and it's a process. And it takes time, and it slows things down.
Yeah,
Take that time for yourself to find the words.
To express
who you are. And this is an awesome opportunity, because
Absolutely.
where they're there, you can start filling in those blanks.
Yeah. And create myself and not follow. Yeah.
It's not easy, but it's self-empowering. And the trust that you develop with yourself is, oh man, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, today I saw the quotes coming by that breath carries you through the onslaught. So that was a cool reminder. And there's the onslaught. Okay, breath.
Yeah. Even in the beginning, when I had with Andrew this really rushed feeling that I couldn't actually physically live out, that didn't change the internal fastness within me of still wanting, so it was like I was always checking to see if he was online. I would, go look at his pictures. I would watch his videos. I was like, I need more and more and more, And so for me, it was like I could see that. So I made it a point to, write about that every day. Even though we were moving forward in our agreement and I couldn't physically live out this fastness that I wanted to, it was still within me, like humming and vibrating. And so I made sure that I addressed that with writing with myself every day, and, really identified the points that I was experiencing, because to me, that was an opportunity I had to, it's almost like, something like this bug that moves really fast, and I had a moment to hold it and to look at it and to observe it, so definitely, if you do go back into the relationship or a relationship and this fastness comes up, you can still slow down within that fastness, you can still, just take it to daily writing and identify points. And
came a lot through those fast things and all those feelings and emotions, and that's through talking. I'm quite more of the talk through type of person.
Sure.
That was the most supportive for me to talk with people, and I talk a lot of I'm even to strangers. I'm getting feedback from them. I open just conversations what I need answers on or reflection on. So that's how I came to a lot of realizations.
I learned so much from other people that bring up points that I hadn't even seen in myself, or I'd completely separated myself from. A couple of weeks ago, someone said to me, because I was expressing like my opinion on something, well, I don't like it when somebody does that, because to me that's needy. And she looked at me and she said, well, maybe you're needy. And I was, next couple of days, I'm like, am I being needy? Looking at the points that I had defined as needy that I do.
Yeah.
I do it. I just had totally separated myself from it. I get that from people all the time. And my immediate reaction is, I already know myself. I already know what I'm about. But these little points keep coming up for me to explore that I would have never seen on my own. And in the moment, you're like, how do I respond to this? I don't have the words to respond. After you become aware of it, then you can have the words to respond to.
Yeah, that's exactly why I wanted to do this. This is part of the reason behind me wanting to do this, was because I felt like there was missing this communication, or maybe not, maybe I didn't even identify it, but as we're moving through it, I can see it, like how valuable it is to be able to communicate who you are in relation to these topics, because it not only supports you to be able to express and perhaps establish and shift around these points within yourself, but it's also going to support other people. Just listening to you guys, all sorts of things come up for me to consider. Oh, that relates to my experience with this, and that's exactly why I wanted to do this, because I just think it's so important that we establish that communication of who we've been and who we are and what that can create and the potential that we actually have here. Even if we get off topic, it's still, I'm nurtured by this experience, because it's great having an hour or two on a Sunday to be able to talk, like really just talk about my experience, and knowing that someone else is going to understand and can relate and can offer practical, suggestions.
Honestly, I mean, come on, we're in relationships. There's going to be a point of where we're not getting together with other women, and we're not discussing things because we're caught up with the kids, we're caught up with the animals, we're caught up with cooking dinner, or doing dishes after our significant other makes dinner, or after dinner getting together and actually spending time together with your partner, doing something that we get caught up in that we aren't communicating with too many other people. So this is the good stuff, being able to get in touch with other women. And for me, during the summer, we go to a campground up northern Maine, and I have lots of female friends there that I talk with on the weekends, but right now it's winter. The girls aren't around, and it's so easy to get caught up in it and forget, oh yeah, that's right. I get a lot out of, connecting with the women in my life.
I want to say that indeed, like 10 years ago, when I wasn't really able to give words to myself or to my experiences, and through studying a lot of, in this case, the Destiny material, that gave me words to express myself or to share how I felt, I think to communicate yourself, whether it's your mind or it's your real self, that's communicating. It's so important for me. So I really had a blast with all those years and reading other people, and I think it's fantastic. When I encountered it, it's like 7, 8 years ago. I think it's wonderful. From being in love, recreating it, to being thankful for the other, like gratitude and understanding self and the other, and seeing where we could shape love into life principles, and applying those life principles. That's what I'm now busy with, but looking at and working on, so to speak, to also establish what I want, what we discussed, what I want in my life, and where I can stand for and cannot stand for. That's what I wanted to share